everybody, this is Second Greatest Nerd, and we'll be learning how to jump with servo control day. Alright, I've set up a very simple scene already. It consists of a floor and a smaller cube. The floor is just a bigger cube, but it's the properties that really count. The property added to the floor was floor, very original, and the property added to cube was cube. But the property of cube is very special because it has to be integer. And because if it's not, when you add numbers to it, instead of being like a solid 1 or 2, it's going to be like 2.0001, so make sure it's integer. I made the cube dynamic, which usually, see 2.49, I've had some weird things. You should say static right there, and you just click on that and change it to dynamic. If you're using 2.48, which you can see your version number up here, should say blender.org 2.40 whatever. If it's 2.48, you need to click your bounds and a compound to keep it from floating away, if I remember correctly. I was sort of thrown off 2.49, you do not have to do that. I think it's a problem they fixed. First thing I did was I added a 4 little things under each one of these. I did a keyboard, and I pressed the up arrow key, and then over here, which I connected it to, I did property. I did add property of cube value 1, which basically what that does, when you press the up arrow key, it'll add 1 to this little sucker over here. Next thing I did is I did property equal cube, property of cube value 1, and then the next thing over here I did a servo control, which when you do motion, it should just come up with simple motion. Click on that and move it to servo control. Under LinV, under the z-axis, add a 10. Basically what that does is when the value of cube is equal to 1, it'll move it up 10. The next thing I did was I also added another property, and I did value cube equal to 1, but this one, this is very special, do f10, which means it'll delay it for 10 pulses. I don't know what pulses is. It's not seconds or milliseconds. It's somewhere in that range. I did property add cube value 1, which basically what that does is when the value of 1, when the cube has the value of 1, it'll add another 1 to it, and I'll explain that later on. The very last thing I did is I did collision with the property of floor, so basically when it hits the floor, it'll assign the property of cube back to 0. Now, here's how this all works. When you press the up arrow key, it adds 1 to cube, and when it's 1, it'll move it upward 10. But also, 10 pulses later, whatever that is, it'll add another 1 to it. So you can't continuously keep pressing the up arrow key to make yourself jump forward. So when it's 1, you'll be able to press it, but then it'll immediately move it to 2, and you can't just, keep going up and up and up. That took me a little while to figure that out. The very last thing is collision with property floor, but when it hits it, it'll move it back to 0, and you'll be able to jump again. So you cannot keep continuously jumping in the air. You'll only be able to jump after you've hit the ground. And let's see if that works real quick. Press P to play. See? It works. And I can't continuously keep pressing it, and it's only going to go the same. And if you look right underneath my arrow cruiser right now, the object cube 0.001 cube, that's the value. And right now it's equal to 0. When I press up, it adds 1, then adds another 1, and it's 2, almost instantly. And when it hits the ground, it's back to 0. And that's basically it. If you have any questions, just please post anything. Thank you.